Hello and welcome to the Grand Line Review, your source for everything One Piece. Today we have a review of manga chapter 886, This-ish My Way of Living. And I guess we should probably talk about that title first. It's a bit weird to read, but apparently it's intentionally misspelled in Japanese to come off as baby talk. Like a lot of One Piece titles, you don't really understand it until a particular moment in the chapter comes up, and we'll get to that moment shortly. But first, I'm not gonna lie, I was definitely hoping that Sanji would be the one to fight Oven, and we did get a bit of that to some extent, but Capone's entrance here is so much cooler than anything I'd really imagined. I know I seem to draw a lot of parallels to Luffy whenever Capone is around, but when it really comes down to it, they have extraordinarily similar core character traits. For example, Capone firing straight into Oven's face reminded me of Luffy punching the world noble on Sabari. You know, that sort of situation where any sane person would just stay quiet and acquiesce to the demands of whoever is holding power at the time. But Luffy and Capone are those rare, insane people who act without thinking too deeply about the situation and just punch somebody because, well, they deserve it. I imagine that all of the worst generation probably have that similar character trait, except maybe Bonnie actually. She seemed to want to play things pretty safe on Sabari, but then again she has something weird of her own going on. But back to this chapter, that panel of Capone talking to Baby Pez after firing on Oven is just fantastic. He looks like an absolute badass, but at the same time he's talking to Pez in baby speak, which is where the chapter title comes from. I'm actually really looking forward to the potential of seeing Capone have a proper fight. During the wedding he acted more like the mastermind, a chess player, and well, eventually he became a fortress for everyone else to hide in, but I'd love to know exactly what he's capable of in a one-on-one fight, and I'm sure that Oven is a more than willing test subject. Of course, as I mentioned before, Sanji also got in quite a satisfying ninja kick in on Oven, and he's still there, and kind of in the middle of everything, so it's entirely possible that this fight turns into a 2-on-1, with Sanji continuing to ninja himself about, dealing damage to Oven. Although I have to say the best part of this whole sequence was Pound thinking that he'd managed to punch Oven on his own. So all of a sudden, Pound gained confidence, probably for the first time in his life, for all of 5 seconds, before Oven promptly put him back in his place. It was pretty hilarious. And alright, I can't avoid this anymore. It was such a tiny, tiny part of the chapter, but Carrot had a panel pointing out that tonight will be a full moon. So this comes completely out of nowhere, at first anyway, and it seems entirely irrelevant to anything ever. At first. But I couldn't get this weird line out of my head, so I went back and skimmed through the Zoark, and in chapter 811, Wanda mentions that there is a full moon tonight, but fortunately, it's covered by clouds. And that's kind of the end of that. Nobody really acknowledges it, and we move on with the story, which is why I think I plainly forgot about it. And then a bit further along in chapter 819, Inuarashi, or Dogstorm, however you prefer to say his name, says that the Minks have an ace up their sleeves that they have yet to show. I think that given these 3 hints, it's now pretty clear that the Minks have some sort of special ability with a clear full moon. However, Wanda's statement about how thankfully it was covered by clouds, it might be hinting to something akin to transforming into a werewolf or going berserk. So for now, I'm going to call them were-minks, I guess. And Garrett specifically would become a were-rabbit, which I would really actually like to see. Whatever this thing with the minks is at this point, it's pretty much guaranteed that Carrot is going to pull out something clutch come nightfall. So the final part of this chapter briefly deals with Luffy and Katakuri. So Luffy has somehow escaped Big Mom. I mean, not somehow, we know how. He's obviously been mirror hopping, because reports are showing up all over Totland about sighting him. But I don't know, I think it's kind of annoying, because one of the cliffhangers from the last chapter was Luffy encountering Big Mom again, and just the amount of trouble he was in, and it's just kind of skipped over here. I get what happened, we can put 2 and 2 together, and I do appreciate that Oda decided to prioritize moving the story forward, but I feel like I would have much rather have seen Luffy's escape from Nuts Island, as opposed to the frankly far too many pages that were dedicated to like the whole Pound chiffon thing happening in Chocolate Town. Anyway, that is a mere minor complaint, because the pages we got with Luffy, as little as they were pretty damn cool. First of all, through a conversation with Brûlé, we learn that Luffy has been running on purpose to use up Katakuri's observation haki, And this is really interesting because I, for one, wasn't aware that Haki operated as a resource that gets depleted. I mean, for Armament Haki and Conqueror's Haki, that might make a bit more sense, but up until now, I'd always thought that Observation Haki was kind of like a passive ability that you train and always possess no matter what. So the fact that you could conceivably run out of Observation Haki makes the idea of Katakuri being beaten much more plausible. Not that Luffy's actually going to go down that path though. Immediately after that, Luffy has a bit of a Goku moment where he expresses his desire to beat Katakuri at full strength. And I quote, "all 1 billion berries of him." This is because, according to Rayleigh, the flower of Haki only truly blooms in the extreme conditions of real battle. So basically, the stronger the person you fight, the stronger you yourself become. A very, very Dragon Ball Z mentality. And that makes me slightly nervous, but then again, Luffy isn't necessarily looking to get stronger in that traditional shonen sense. He wants to push himself to use Katakuri's level of Observation Haki, possibly even his level of Armament Haki, so it's more like learning to polish your techniques rather than simply gaining a power-up, which I like. And that will pretty much do it for chapter 886. Despite a lot of the chapter being dedicated to Chocolate Town, the pace has really stepped up, and as usual, I'm incredibly keen for the next chapter. If you enjoyed this video, then please feel free to like, favorite, or subscribe, and please do comment with your thoughts on the chapter. This has been the Grand Line Review, and I'll see you next time.